Broadcasting live from SETI Alpha 6 in the Andromeda Galaxy, this is Mr. C.
Well, you know what's going on today. I've got my binos out and I am looking at the weekend, which starts tomorrow for you. What time? 3 o'clock? 3 p.m.? Your weekend starts? So, woohoo! So, anyway, Thursday it is, and here's my job today. My job and your job. You've got a job. I've got a big job. You've got a big job. Here's my job. My job is to clearly communicate to each of you what's on tomorrow's test. Now, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that in two ways. You're taking out LS 8 and 9. Did I mention LS 8 and 9? You're taking it out. You're getting ready to write on it. Mr. Gilbert has given you 2 white sheets. You're going to use them. We're going to do some fun Punnett Squares. I love Punnett Squares. What are they called? Punnett Squares. Okay. P-U-N-N-E-T-T. Punnett. Punnett Squares. It's where you cross alleles to show how they'll mix and in your organism how they will play out. In other words, what traits they will cause to happen. So anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get to that in a little bit. So you've got one white sheet where you're numbering to 13. So quick. You're numbering to 13. You have out LS 8 and 9. You've got worksheet 85F that we're going to grade. We're going to correct it. So you need a red pen too, of course. In your lesson planner, you're putting down test tomorrow on LS 8 and 9 plus some other things. So down it goes. So did you get all that handled? So homework in your lesson planner, test tomorrow, LS 8 and 9. You've got worksheet 85F out. You've got a red pen because we're going to grade it. And you've got LS 8 and 9 out in front of you. And we'll mark that up some. Okay? Now, what are the 2 ways you're going to communicate with us about the test? Well, number 1, today on the lecture, and you are going to mark up, star, whatever you're going to do, circle the key things that you need to know from LS 8 and 9. Then I am going to put them in RenWeb, and they'll be there. They'll be there for Thursday, RenWeb, 8th grade, period 2, yep, and period 4 and 5. You'll look in there in RenWeb under homework for Thursday. There they are, you betcha, what the test is going to include. Psalm 139, 13, and 14. Quiet down, Mr. C. Have you been taking a little caffeine? Yes, I have. Yep. So, and I'm proud of it. But it's probably hyped me up just a little bit. But that was its job. Okay? So anyway, you're going to write Psalm 139, 13, and 14. Now, how many times have I had you write Psalm 139, 13, and 14? And how many times have you got it right or not? You know it's on there. So what's holding you back from triple R'ing that a little bit on your verse sheet? And I've gone over it so many times. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I will give thanks to you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it. I should go knows it very well. So you're going to write that. That's 2 points right off the bat. How many points in the test? I'm guessing in 35-ish, maybe 40, but probably 35-ish. Okay? So I'm going to ask you about the meaning of Psalm 139, 13, and 14. Meaning. What does it mean? With words. It means God designed you and me. Or another way to say it is, God gave you your DNA and God gave me my DNA. Okay? Now, on your white sheet, I ask you to write to number 13. So go for it. And I've got 13 really quick review questions. We're going to go fast. Okay? You're going to give us anything? If you get a perfect on this, so if you get a perfect, I need to make it 14. If you get a perfect on this, you could have a Jolly Rancher until Mr. Gilbert runs out. You have to get a perfect, though. Perfect. Here we go. Number 1, the scientific study of heredity. What is it called? That's number 1. So down it goes. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these, and I'm not going to go over these. This is just review. But do it. Write down the answers. Mr. Gilbert is encouraging that right now. Number 2, any characteristic, physical characteristic that you inherit. What do we call it? Any physical characteristic that you inherit, like your hair color. It's one word answer. Number 2. Number 3, what do we call the 46 chain-like bodies that contain the DNA that cause you and I to be who we are? What do we call those chain-like bodies? Yeah, it starts with C. Number 4, how many of those chain-like bodies do you get total in your zygote? So many from mom, so many from dad. How many total? That's number 4. Number 5, who was the father of genetics? He did the initial research, the original research on the pea plants, the sweet pea plants, and then he recorded it. So, what was his name? Last name is fine. Number 6, what organism did that man work with? He was from Austria. He was a monk, Catholic monk. They gave him a scholarship to university. They paid for his university training, and he paid them back by becoming a monk and working in the monastery. All right, so that was number 6. What was the organism or living thing that he did research on? Number 7, what do we call the passing on of physical characteristics from parents to offspring? What do we call that? What's the name for it? Number 8, what do we call the individual factors that affect the characteristics that we inherit? They're chunks of DNA. What do we call them? Number 8. The Austrian monk called them factors. We now call them something else. Number 9, what are the forms or the flavors of a factor? What are they called? Like you could have a brown-haired flavor and so you could have brown and blonde flavor of the characteristic. Number 10, how many different kinds of flavors? I said it incorrectly. If you've just got one kind of the flavor of the factor, what do we say you are? What is that trait called? You just have one kind. Let's say you have blonde hair from mom and blonde haired factor from dad. That makes you for that trait. 11, what do you call a ruling over factor? It rules over another one, like brown rules over blonde. What do you call ruling over? There's a name for it? That kind of factor. What do you call the hidden one? Like blonde would be hidden. You could still have the flavor of that particular characteristic or trait, but it wouldn't show up. We couldn't see it in your body or on your head if it were blonde. So it would be hidden. 13, what do you call it when you have two different kinds or two different flavors of a gene? What do we call that? There's a name for it. What kind of trait do we call that? And then finally, what do we call the different chunks of the chain-like bodies? Sections. What are they called? Now I'm talking small ones like the molecules. The answer is not genes. So what do we call like pieces of genes? That is 14. Okay, I don't have time to go over them again. That was part of getting a perfect, part of winning a Jolly Rancher. Here are your answers. The scientific study of heredity. Genetics. Be honest. You've got your red pen out. This is not a grade. But be honest in grading them. Your other pen or pencil should be put away. Number 2. Any characteristic you inherit? A trait. Number 2, trait. Number 3, the chain-like bodies are chromosomes. It's a C word, chain-like body, chromosomes. And then how many do you have total in your zygote? 46. 23 from mom, 23 from dad. 46 total. Number 5, the father of genetics, Gregor Mendel, or just Mendel. 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 Gregor Mendel. Number 6, what kind of organism did he work with? It's coming up right now. You can see a photo of it as it comes up right now. And as I'm writing down the minute mark when that photo is supposed to pop up, those are called pea plants or sweet peas. Pea plants or sweet peas. Number 7, what do you call the passing on of physical characteristics from parents to offspring? That's called your heredity. Heredity. Parents to offspring. Number 8, what are the factors called that affect traits? Genes, which is the root word for genetics. So, genes. Number 9, what do you call the forms or flavor of genes? Those are alleles. A-L-L-E-L-E-S. Alleles. You might want to hang on to this sheet of paper if you get it perfect after you show it to Mr. Gilbert as a little bit of a study guide. And let's see, number 11, what do you call an allele that rules over another one? Dominant. A dominant allele. What do you call a hidden one? It's a recessive allele. R-E-C-E-S-S-I-V-E, recessive. Hidden. Doesn't show up in the body, but it's there in the cells. And it can be passed on. Number 13, if you have 2 different flavors of a gene, what do you call that? You are hybrid. That's a hybrid trait. So you've got 2 different flavors, hybrid. Hybrid, H-Y-B-R-I-D. And 14, what do you call the chunks of genes? Small amounts of the gene. DNA, aka deoxyribonucleic acid. Okay, so put your score at the top. If you had a perfect, you're going to show it to Mr. Gilbert. And he's going to give you a Jolly Rancher. And I'm going to give you just a little bit of time to get anything clarified with him before we go on to Punnett Squares. Woohoo! It will be fun. All right, I'm back. We are going to correct 85F. 85F. There it is. We're going to correct it. Half a point each. Initial down below. Initial down below. Your promise to me and the Lord that you'll grade it honestly. Just red pen out, please. Number 1, the physical appearance of an organism. That is phenotype. This is my phenotype. Phenotype. Number 2, a number that describes how likely an event will occur is the probability of the event. Number 3, an organism that is homozygous has 2 identical alleles for a trait. Homozygous, like if you had blonde alleles, you'd be homozygous for hair color. Number 4, by the way, I'm not going to have you know that for the test. Number 4, a Punnett square shows the combination of alleles. And we're going to work with some Punnett squares in just a little bit. There they are, Punnett squares. So that was number 4. A Punnett square shows the combination of alleles. Number 5, the genetic makeup of an organism. It's genetic makeup. That's genotype because it involves genes. Genotype. Number 6, an organism that is heterozygous has 2 different alleles. Does that make it a hybrid as well? It does. Hybrid. Heterozygous. 2 different alleles. Number 7. Which of these genotypes is heterozygous? That would be hybrid. That would be B as in Bravo on number 7. B as in Bravo. Number 8, which of these is not a phenotype? Number 8 is C as in Charlie. C as in Charlie. Number 9, in a cross between individuals that are big A, little a, and big A, little a, how many boxes of the Punnett square will show an offspring that is big A, or dominant big A? That would be number 1, A. A as an alpha. Number 9, A as an alpha. And number 10, which of these is not a way to express probability? Well, they've got to be fraction or percents. So D as in delta is not either a fraction or a percent. 10, D as in delta. Okay? Hang on to yours if you needed a repeat. You didn't quite get all the answers. Mr. Gilbert will help. Number right over 5. Each one is half a point. Number right over 5. Turn it over to the back side, please. And you have these Punnett squares. So I'd like you to look at Punnett square number 1. Punnett square number 1. Now in this Punnett square, the letters big B, little b are colors black and white for guinea pigs. So you're going to cross them. You've got big B, little b, big B, little b. What kind of crosses are those where you have 2 different alleles? Those are hybrids. So you've got a hybrid black guinea pig and a if I could say it, hybrid black guinea pig that are crossed, male and female. What are you going to get? Well, you know how to do, you know the drill. I've showed you how to do it. So what do? Just move, look at this. I'm moving up a little closer. It's getting a little scary, Mr. C. I know. Here I come. Okay. So here's what you do. Move the big B over and draw it in. Big B. That's dominant black. And then bring down the big B. That would be a pure black guinea pig. That one offspring right there. So over on this next top one, bring down the small b. That's for white. See that? Bring down the small b and bring over the cap b. And you've got big B, little b on that right box. Big B, little b. That is a hybrid black guinea pig right there. That's what that one would be. By the way, the letters, what do they stand for? The letters symbolize the alleles the parents are passing on. And caps are dominant. So capital letters are dominant. You might want to write that down. You could write it here, caps for capital. I'd do it if I were you. I'm going to ask you that tomorrow. Hey, what do capital letters stand for in a Punnett square? I'm going to ask. Yep. Mr. C, you're awful close. I know, I've got to be because of doing the Punnett squares. So the caps are dominant. I'm writing that in. Now I abbreviated. See that? Caps are dominant. And the lowercase, what are they? So I'm just going to put LC for lowercase. What are they? They're recessive traits. Recessive. See, I abbreviated that. Recessive. Lowercase. Recessive. Okay, so far, what do we have? We have a pure black guinea pig, and we've got a hybrid black guinea pig. All right, bring over the small b in this one. Small b, bring down the big B. We've got a hybrid black guinea pig again. Black is going to be dominant. Usually, remember, dark is dominant, double D. Dark is dominant. Okay, and on this last one, bring down the little b, the lowercase, down it comes. So lowercase, bring over the lowercase over here. Oh, look! Look, we have small b, small b. What is that? That is a pure white guinea pig. That's what that is. A pure white guinea pig in that instance. Okay, on the Punnett Square on the right, let's see, I'm looking at that. That is another one just to look at. You don't need to do anything with it. You don't need to do anything down at the bottom. Okay, I want to show you this. I've got to hurry. Okay, do I ever? Okay. So on LS8, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to ask. I've done it before, but I'm just going to go quickly. In case you missed it, in case you're absent, this is LS8. Here we go. Get ready to circle, highlight. Heredity. Passing on of physical characteristics. Gregor Mendel. What organism did he work with? Pea plants. What do you call a characteristic? A trait. So I've circled those 4. And then, what's the scientific study of inheritance or heredity? Genetics. Over on the right side, what do you call it if you have the same allele? That's pure or purebred. And notice I wrote same allele up there. Same allele. Oops, I can do this. Maybe. Same allele. Purebred. And then I'll show you that in a little bit. We'll come back to it. Okay, down below, what do you call a different form of a gene? An allele. Circle gene, a form of a gene, see that? Down below. And then over on the right side, you've got dominant, recessive alleles, ruling over dominant, recessive is hidden, doesn't show up. And then I wrote down hybrid, where you have 2 different alleles, see that? Hybrid, see that? Hybrid. 2 different alleles. Hybrid. Okay, and then I wrote chromosome. Just a chunk of DNA, chromosome. Do you see that over there? And then I wrote 23 and 23. What is that? Chromosomes 23, 23. 23 in a sperm cell that you were given from your dad, 23 in an egg cell that you were given from your mom. Total of 46 in your zygote. There they are. 23 in the sperm, 23 in the egg. Total of 46 in your first cell that started to grow in your mom. A zygote. Okay? So you've got to know all of those. So, and then I want to show you this. I want to show you a Punnett Square. Okay, I've got to draw it in really quick. I can do this. Okay, I'm just going to, you draw a square on your white sheet. Draw a square on your white sheet. Okay, I want to explain a few things. All right, this particular Punnett Square, remember it's a Punnett Square. I'll ask you that name tomorrow. Punnett Square. Can you handle the square part? Mr. C, I think I can. I think I know that's a square. Good. Congratulations. Okay, this one we're going to do big R, and we're going to do big R. See that? Big R on the side. Now, this is one parent, so you're going to, over here, you're going to put parent. These are the parent alleles. Now, you guys are 8th grade, so you ought to be able to stay with me. You should be able to stay with me. You're 8th graders. Okay? So you ought to be right on top of this. You ought to have drawn your square, and you should have parent. And up here, I'm going to put, this is the P1 generation. Over here. And I'm going to put big R up on top. There's one parent, and these are the other parents' alleles. See how I did that? P1, so this is the P1 generation, the parent generation. And those are their alleles. And the cap R's are dominant traits. What do they stand for this time? R is wrinkled. It stands for wrinkle. No, I got it wrong. It stands for round. These are sweet pea seeds, whether they're round or wrinkled. So the cap R stands for round. Okay, you've got the Punnett square. Cross the alleles now. You know how to do it. Bring one down, bring one over. Do all four. Mr. Gilbert's wandering around watching you do it. You're actually doing it. This is participation. So what should you have? Big R? Yep. Big R. What are those? Those are dominant round seeds. And since they only have one kind of allele, we call them pure. So this would produce 4 seeds of a pea plant that are round. Now this generation right here is the F1 generation. So you're going to want to put that in the box. See that? I've got F1. These are like the kids. F1 comes from the Latin filial, which means like son, daughter. Filial, these are the offspring or kids. F1. So these over here are P1, the parent alleles, and these are the son-daughter alleles. So see, it sounds weird to be talking about plants and sons or daughters. I know, but that's the way geneticists do it. It's the way they do it. Okay? So anyway, so finish that up. Okay. Now I want to look really quick to see if there's anything I missed before I turn you over to Mr. Gilbert. And you can ask him about anything that I went over, any questions. And I would like him, if time allows, I'd like him to do one Punnett square with you. Here it is. Square. So on that other white sheet, draw another Punnett square. And the P1 this time, the P1 generation, the parent generation, look at this. It's big R, little r, big R, little r, big R, little r, cap R, in other words, little r, cap R, little r. What is this? This is a hybrid cross. See that? All of these seeds were given genes to make them round or wrinkled. The little r, lowercase r, is wrinkled. So down below you could put little r equals wrinkled. And big R, you already know, big R is for round. See that at the bottom? Wrinkled. Now, I'm going to ask Mr. Gilbert to set it up like this. So I'd like you to set it up like that. On top, one parent, big R, little r on the side, big R, little r, and because I'm talking and writing at the same time, I made a mistake. I didn't cross the alleles correctly. So thumb up if you noticed I made a mistake. You should have. Okay, now he's going to work with you. Cross them in the F1 generation. Actually, it's the F2 generation inside and see what you get. Okay, so cross them in the boxes. And I'm going to give you a little hint over here in this far right box. You get little r. See that? Little r in that box. What is that? That's pure, because there's only one kind of allele. And is it black or white? It's white. So you get the white comes back, and the other ones are all black, the other three. Anyway, I just wanted you to get the flavor of working with the Punnett Square. He can just answer any questions for you. So you're going to triple R, all of that I trust. I want you to do well. This will be up on RenWeb as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Gilbert in just a minute, and he's going to clarify or answer any questions for you. Mr. Gilbert, thank you.